In some cultures, ravens are often seen as mysterious beings. They can bridge the physical and spiritual worlds. Raven's spiritual significance connects them to magic. That's why they named her Raven.
Just like her father, Raven was gifted with magic powers. Some spellcasters sometimes don't consider her one of them, since she's half human. Because of this, Raven had to learn magic by herself. Luckily, Raven's aunt helps her. She only comes to the magic realm whenever she isn't busy. When her aunt does come by, she's always helping Raven strengthen her powers. Since Raven isn't a pure spellcaster, she feels the need to prove herself to the others. As much as Raven tries to ignore, she hears people say how her father ruined the bloodline by sleeping with a human. There's only one other spellcaster that doesn't judge her. Ayumi, one of the only spellcasters who shows Raven something other than hate. And that means more to her than she knows. When Raven first traveled to the magic realm, Ayumi was the only one that showed Raven the ropes. Ayumi's parents abandoned her when she was a baby. She has no memory of them. She also has had her fair share of being bullied by other spellcasters. That's why they get along so well. It's Raven and Ayumi against the world. Raven has been overwhelmed lately, her sleepless nights only making the weight heavier. Lately, she drifts into visions from her earliest years. She doesn't understand how or why, only that it feels like her father is trying to reach her. The idea of her father haunting her lingers like a weight on Raven's chest, keeping her awake through long nights. She doesn't know what it means or why it happens, only that she could never tell her mother. She wouldn't understand. It's worse when she's asleep. Her dreams become too vivid. Memories from her toddler years, ones she thought were lost, rise up again, refusing to stay buried. She only wants one night of peace, but even that feels almost impossible. Despite her restless nights, Raven looks forward to one thing and one thing only: school. Some teenagers hate school, but not Raven. For her, school is her escape. No cruel spellcasters, no haunting visions, just a taste of normalcy, and her favorite people she can count on. Well, at least one of them. Marcel Bailey. Yes, the son of Thorn and Octavia Bailey. Raven and Marcel met at the playground as kids and been close ever since. As they got older, they both developed a crush on each other, but Marcel never did anything with those feelings. They'd recently fought about it. Raven wants a relationship, something real. They'd gone on dates, shared kisses, but it wasn't enough. And every time she brought it up, Marcel grew angry. It wasn't that Marcel didn't care for Raven. He did. He loved her. But love only went so far. Ever since that fight, it's been awkward. Raven wants to tell Marcel everything that's been happening, but he insists on giving her space, even though that's the last thing she wants. Raven skips class just to talk to Ayumi, and with every word she feels the weight on her chest ease. Ayumi knows what she's going through. She used to see the same visions, until one day they vanished. Raven begins to break down as she talks about her dreams. The memories from her toddler years already leave her unsettled. But there's one dream in particular that truly terrifies her. In her dreams, Raven sits at the edge of the shore, a white chair beneath her, a white dress clinging to her frame. Why she's there, who could say? All that matters is the way her eyes search the waves, as though waiting for something or someone to emerge. Then she hears it, something faint, almost a whisper. She rises from the chair, moving towards the sound. But as she walks, a sharp ringing splits the air, piercing her ears. The whispers return, louder now, closer, as if drawing her in. She finally turns and she sees him. She sees her father, familiar, unreal, ghost-like stitched together from her soul. She tries to reach for him, but then black. Raven doesn't understand why her father is showing up in her dreams. All she wants is for them to stop. Ayumi isn't sure how to help Raven with this. She went through the same thing once, but then it suddenly stopped. She doesn't know why or how, it just did. Ayumi suggested to maybe try talking to her aunt, suggesting that she's probably having similar experiences. Raven didn't think to ask her aunt. She hasn't seen her in the magic realm in a while. Hearing Ayumi suggest her aunt brings Raven a sense of peace, a fragile hope that the visions might one day stop. Meanwhile, in Granite Falls, when the kids are at school, Cassandra makes the most of her time, inviting her special friends to the summer cabin. Akira had become her favorite as of late. With Akira, there were no strings to pull. No promises to break. Only the kind of escape Cassandra craved. She needed that escape, something to help her forget reality, if only for a little while. Cassandra hasn't been herself. Something gnaws at her, filling her with unease that borders on paranoia, as though some unseen presence is watching her every move. Raven believes her mother wouldn't understand. But little does she know, Cassandra sees him too. Cassandra isn't afraid, she's worried. If he's haunting her, then her daughter must be seeing him too, which means her daughter is speaking to him. Back at home, Raven stays up late, sitting in her living room. She thinks about what Ayumi said about talking to her aunt. Raven doesn't want to trouble her aunt. She knows how busy she's been. If she wants any chance at peace, she has to talk to her. Raven snaps her clothes back on, poofs before the mirror for a swift glance, because there's no way she's showing up to her aunt looking like a hot mess, then vanishes into the magic realm in a shimmer of light. When Raven finally teleports to the magic realm, she quickly spots her aunt at one of the shops. Her stomach twists with nerves as she scrambles to prepare her words. It's been so long since she's seen her here, and though joy stirs in her chest, determination drives her. She needs answers. Naturally, Aunt Gemma's face lights up at the sight of her favorite niece. Of course they started to chit-chat. Raven treasures the talks she shares with her aunt. Gemma always shares pictures of her cousins and the latest realm gossip. Any other time Raven entertains it, but not this time. She has one thing on her mind, her father. She needs to know if her aunt sees him too. It was now or never. Raven spilled everything. The visions, the dreams, the shadow of her father. The words tumbled out raw, unfiltered, until finally she asked the question that burned in her chest. Was her aunt seeing him too? And did she know what it all meant? As Gemma was listening to Raven, she was taken aback. At first she felt hurt. Her own brother didn't bother to visit her. Or maybe he finally did, just in a different form. Gemma begins to grab Raven and started explaining.
You know, your name serves a purpose, right? They didn't just name you Raven because it was pretty. I'm sure your mother never explained it. Some believe ravens carry messages from the spirit world. Some even believe ravens invites you to embrace the parts of ourselves we typically shy away from. You are slowly approaching adulthood, putting your teenage years behind you. Maybe that's why you're having these visions. Your father is trying to guide you. Where they'll lead, I can't say. That answer isn't mine to give. It's yours to discover.
As Raven listens to Gemma's advice, she notices a shift in her tone. Gentle, almost trembling.
I'll admit, it cuts deep, knowing your father never came to me. I kept hoping, but he never did. Instead, he sends you. Maybe that's his way of letting me know he's there. You look just like him. And for the longest time, I couldn't even stand to look at you.
Listening to Gemma's advice gives Raven a sense of peace. She has an idea on what to do, but she doesn't like it. She has to talk to her mother and get some answers. What's the worst that can happen? After her talk, Raven spawns back home. She didn't expect to find her mother deep in conversation with her sister. Her stomach twisted as nerves crept in. She steadied herself, rehearsing the words in her head. It was now or never. Raven poofs into the dining area. Her mother and sister rose to their feet, smiles spreading across their faces, happy to see her. Raven asked if she could talk to her mother privately. They went upstairs and started talking. The conversation started simple. Seeing how school is going, checking in mentally. Raven took advantage of that and started explaining everything she's been experiencing. Her voice trembled as she pressed on with questions. About the strange events from her childhood. About Thorn's father. About her own. She told her mother that if she could just have some clarity, maybe, just maybe, she could finally sleep at night. At first, Cassandra's heart ached with worry, realizing just how exhausted her daughter truly was. But the moment Raven mentioned the dream of her father, the air seemed to shift. Cassandra started to get defensive. She wanted to know more. Was he speaking to her? Was he trying to reveal what really happened? What did Raven know? Raven was irritated as she stood up. She wasn't understanding why her mom was so upset. All she did was ask a question. Why did it warrant this reaction? She thought. Suddenly, they were shouting over each other. Raven's voice cracked with frustration, accusing her mother of hiding the truth and constantly dismissing her. Cassandra's anger exploded in response. yelling that Raven should mind her own business and leave well enough alone, calling her ungrateful. The words hung in the air, heavy and painful, each one cutting deeper than the last. Raven quickly leaves and sits outside. She feels defeated. She doesn't understand why her mother doesn't want to help her. The only other person left that created her rather keep secrets. As she lays on the ground, she calls out to her father, begging for answers, begging for a sign, begging for peace. She just wants all of this to stop. Later in the night, she gets a text message from Ayumi, telling her to sneak out with her sister to go to this club. Raven quickly agreed. She needs a distraction. Raven quickly hops in the shower, then begins to look in the mirror to hype herself up. That fight with her mother drained her. She didn't want to leave with negative energy. Raven poofed to her sister's room, put on her makeup, threw on some cute clothes, walked up to the mirror, making sure she looks good, and begins to examine herself, checking out her outfit, making sure she looks good. As she looks at herself, she remembers what her aunt said. "You look just like him." She can't unsee it. She does look like her dad. Her aunt said she couldn't look at her for the longest time. Raven questions how much pain she unintentionally caused. Her aunt couldn't look at her. Maybe her mother has the same problem. Maybe the pain her father caused still haunts her mother, which would explain the defensiveness. But then why do the visions show happiness? The contradiction twists in her chest, leaving her both curious and unsettled.